Imagine you are a very famous scientist in the field of brain development. And recently, you have made a very important discovery about the connection between brain and learning. You are invited to give a speech in front of the best possible audience in the world, adult educators who are ready to travel miles away from their home just to hear you live. You will give your speech in the Albert Hall in London, which considered to be the one of the most prestigious places in the world for such events. The time of your speech approaches, and here you are, standing on the stage, facing the audience with their notebooks open and their pens ready to catch your ideas. And you really have a lot of things to say, and they are ready to listen. And 15 minutes after you start the presentation, you noticed that people from front rows open their mobile phones and start to search something there. You feel tension. Next 15 minutes, you start to hear some buzz coming from the audience. Next 15 minutes, you even noticed how several people stood up and left the hall. And you start to panic. What's going on? What's wrong? You have only valuable information, and they are the ideal audience in the world. Are you such a bad speaker? Of course, you are not a bad speaker. What could really work wrong is a way you have chosen to deliver information to your audience. Maybe the speed of your speech was too high for part of the audience to follow your scientific logic. Or you used very difficult terminology, or you have chosen not the right way to present your ideas to this public. Or maybe you were too much concentrated on what you want to say to them. And maybe you a little bit forgot about why this audience came to listen to you. If to transfer this situation to the ordinary adult learning classroom, then the summary would sound approximately like that. You may have ideal components, the best speakers, the best experts of the world with a huge knowledge in the topic. You can have the best adult learners, which only can possible to find, engaged, ready to listen, so motivated, and you can gather all those people in the best possible place. But if you choose the wrong way of delivering your information to this audience, all these ideal components will lose their power. So what is that plays the role of this component that makes all the other ideal components work? It is method. From Greek language, method is a way of moving to the truth, or a way to the expected result. In this module, we will define method as a way of interaction between adult educator and adult learners aimed at achieving a certain learning goal. One of the problems of modern didactic is the problem of classification of teaching methods. First of all, there are many classifications, and educators sometimes are confused which one to use. The second thing, there is no separate classification for adult education methods, but there are peculiarities of application of certain categories of methods to the adult audience. So most of the classification are universal from the point of view of age. That's why in this video, we will learn with you two maybe most widespread classifications of methods, but we will talk about them generally. And in the following videos, when we learn deeper into each category of method, we will talk more about how to apply them to the adult audience. So the first way to classify a method is by the source of knowledge. And according to this, there are three main categories of methods. The first one, verbal methods. And the main source of knowledge here is word. It is one of the oldest categories used by Socrates. And on behalf of that, there is even a method which is called Socratic conversation. Other examples of verbal methods are working with text, lectures, oral presentations, case studies, or discussions. The second category is called visual methods, and the main source of knowledge here is visibility. You may use here watching educational movies, or you can use all methods involved which involve arts, or you can display visual materials, posters, maps, or use flat models. And the third category, which is called practical methods, have as a main source of knowledge something like doing practical stuff. It can be a laboratory work or simulations using certain technical equipment, tools, or just simulations in the form of games. This classification is very popular among those adult educators who rely on the VARC model of learning styles. VARC model supposes that there are four main channels of perceiving information. For V, it is visual through our eyes. For A, it is auditory or oral through our ears. Then reading or writing, and kinesthetic channel through touching. And these educators, when they design their educational program, they try to be sure that they use at least one method for each channel of communication. Second interesting classification, and the second way to classify a method, is according to the stage of educational process. What does it mean? It means when you just start the educational program, you introduce yourself and you would like to know who is your audience. So there are methods of opening your educational program, methods of introducing each other. The next thing you have to do is to create the good atmosphere suitable for learning. And there is a category of methods for creation the atmosphere. Then you also have to learn why these people generally came to you, and what do they want to learn? What do they want to get as a result of education? So there are a group of methods to learn expectations of your adult learners. Then there is a group of methods which you use to introduce the topic, and the group of methods for digging deeper, working with the topic on a deeper level. Then if your training is very long and some of your participants are really tired and you see they can't listen to you anymore, so there is a group method to energize them. Or if the discussion is so emotional, then you need to know some methods from the group of relaxing methods, how to relax your audience. And finally, there is a category of methods which is called closing methods. And it includes methods of reflection, methods of giving a feedback, and methods of assessing the results of the training. And now we will talk about all these categories a little bit more in detail. You know from the group development theory that when people come together in the room and they don't know each other, disregarding the age, they feel very similar things: alertness, tension, and desire to keep their comfort zone safe. I very often notice how adult learners coming first time to educational course desperately are trying to keep their personal belongings in their hands sitting in the chair, even if they have plenty of space where they can leave their belongings. Why? Because this bags and other things psychologically play a role of the barrier between them and the rest of the group. And for me, as for adult educator, it is a sign that from this moment, I need to use many methods from the category of warm-ups, energizers, and getting to know each other, which specially are created for such situations. It is considered that we don't fear those people whose story we know. We start to consider them a part of our circle. That's why it is very important to use methods from the category of getting to know each other. There are plenty of methods like that. For example, you can offer association cards, and you can ask each member of the group to pick out one card which represents best their personality, display it to the group, and explain why they pick out particularly this card. Or you can offer the paired interview, and then the participants have to present not themselves, but their partner. And for adult learners, sometimes it works really much better than self-presentation, when you present not yourself, but somebody from the group. Even if your group know each other, but for example, you had a large break between educational modules, and then after 1 month or 2 months, they come together again. There is a category of getting to know each other methods for such situations. You can ask each of the group member to write very shortly, describe the event that happened to them during this break. And nobody should know about that event. Keep this event anonymous and mix up the cards. And afterwards, ask each member of the group to pick one card randomly, read the event, and try to guess whose event is that. Another very important group of methods is learning expectations. This group of methods is important both for you as for educator, because you will learn what is really important for your learners and what to emphasize during the educational process. And it is also very important for adult learners, because they usually don't think much about what they want to get as the result of education. They're interested in everything and ready to listen everything that you are going to tell them and what you're going to teach. And these methods make them think what they really want to achieve, especially if they need to pronounce it to the rest of the group. But if you use this category of methods, it is very important to keep their description of the expected result till the end of the educational course, come back to it again, and to check together with the group if your learners really achieved the desirable results. In the beginning of your training, you hardly can wait from your participants deep level of analysis or arguments and comments, and not only because the topic is new. In many cases, adult students and learners study after the working day. And there are so many different problems that keep their mind busy, from the report that they have to send tomorrow to the boss, to the cat that they need to bring to the vet. Of course, methods from the category of learning expectations will fix them on the learning results. but they need to start thinking about the general topic of your educational course. And ideally, it should be a very slow process. So perhaps you already heard about methods called four corners or discussion yes or no. In four corners, you ask participants very general questions about the topic and each time give them four possible answers. For example, when I lead the training course on game design, I ask my participants, what game type is the most effective one if we need to change the behavior pattern of our participants, and give them four possible answers: interactive games, simulation games, role-playing games, or live action role-playing games. Participants need to choose an answer and move to the corner of the room that represent the chosen answer. They have about 3 minutes to discuss the arguments why they have chosen this particular answer with those who also moved to this corner. After that, they present their arguments to the group. And after 3 or 4 questions and discussion rounds like that, my participants are usually ready to dig deeper and they want to know what game design theory really talks about these questions. Are there right answers, or all these answers, all these questions are just discussable questions? So it's a very interesting starter for a digging deeper. Or when I lead the training course on school mediation for teachers, I use a method which is called discussion yes or no. And this method, I read one by one several very controversial statements about conflict resolution, and teachers vote if they agree with the statements or disagree, and they vote with certain cards, yes or no, and they have to give the argumentation why they agree or disagree with the statements. And after reading a statement like, for example, children can resolve all the conflicts without any helps from the side of adults, teachers have very emotional discussions. After 3, 4, 5 statements and discussion rounds, the group is ready to listen to the concept of the school mediation. They are prepared for this theory and for this concept. And for me, as for educator, it is much easier to work with the group. So don't jump into the content. Make this process slower with the category of methods of introduction of the topic. Methods of working with the content. Case studies, debates, discussions, big discussions, small discussions, all of them have their own peculiarities. For example, discussion in small groups and large groups for adult learners, better to use after a good stuffing with the theory. Because if you do it before a good stuffing with the theory, as for example, a method of introduction to a topic, you can face a great manifestation of resistance, especially if you have representatives of polar positions. At the same time, you can also face a great decrease in motivation to study further. So this is a peculiarity of the discussion. Lectures and presentations, even them, have their own peculiarities, which educators not always take into account. For example, not all adult educators know that it is better to make presentation, like oral presentation or small lecture, in the second part of the day when people already wake up, they are ready to work, and they didn't have enough time to get tired. Methods of managing energy and attention. Category which involves energizers. It is the most discussed category, I think. Small exercises, but big discussion around them. Why? Because this category of methods have really a lot of peculiarities according to the age. And be ready that the older your learners are, the less they will like energizers. So part of the people or older generation, those who are after 60 years old, they consider energizers children's game. But those who are a little bit younger consider them quite valuable exercises because they help to give the group more energy. They make people more interact with each other. They can help to switch from one topic to another. So be careful about the age, and also be careful about the culture, because many energizers involve physical contact. And as you know, different cultures have different views on general possibility of physical contact between people who are not close relatives, and different attitudes to this part of our social life. So one of the important rules for energizers, don't make them mandatory for all the participants. If somebody doesn't work to participate, okay, make them sit and just watch when other people are playing. Along with energizers, there are also a number of techniques which serve as relaxation techniques and relaxation methods. If you had a very emotional part of the day or very emotional discussion, they will help to calm your participants down. And clothing methods. Clothing methods we will learn in more details in one of the following videos. Here, I also want to say that for adult learners, clothing methods are much more important for young learners, because for adult learners, a good closing of educational process plays the part of psychological shaking hands and psychological saying goodbye. And it is better than you use a variety of different closing methods in one event. The personal or individual reflection, you can use paired reflection or reflection in trio, or large discussion when you propose the open sentence for the full group, like my main learning insight was, and each participant have to finish your sentence. And you can use also face-to-face closing methods, or even free online services like Slido or Mentimeter. We will learn them in more details a little bit later. One important thing I would like to say at the end of this lecture is that you can make, as an adult educator, really a great design of educational program if you use all the categories of methods and if you use them in the right time and in the right place. How to do it professionally, we will learn with you in the following videos.